Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation at INTED 2026. My name is Perla Méndez, and I'm a member of the Instituto Nacional de Astrofísica, Óptica y Electrónica in Mexico. Today I'm presenting our work, Machine-Generated Text Detection with Pre-trained Language Model and Lexical Diversity, with Aurelio Lopez as co-author. Let's start a quick look at our agenda. First, I will begin with the introduction and the problem statement, followed by a brief overview of related work. Next, I will explain the composition of the corpus used, our methodology, and the architecture of our models. Finally, we will analyze the results and the ablation study before concluding and mentioning future work. Let's begin with the context. As we know, large language models have evolved drastically. Models such as DeepSeek, ChatGPT, or Claude have achieved a level of fluency and coherence that often makes them indistinguishable from human writing. While this is technologically impressive, it raises ethical concerns. For example, since they can provide quick answers, they risk undermining critical thinking. There is also the issue of academic fraud, as students might be tempted to use these tools inappropriately. This creates an urgent need for robust detection methods. However, this is difficult because recent studies shows that human evaluators often perform only slightly better than random when trying to identify machine-generated text. Given this challenge, how is scientific community responding? Well, currently there are two main categories for detection. The first one is white box detection. Here, the detector has full access to the language model and can control its generation behavior. And the second one is black box detection. This relies on collecting text samples from both human and machine generated sources to train a classification model. This type of detection works well because current machine-generated texts often show linguistic or statistical patterns. But as language models continue to evolve and improve, black box methods are becoming less effective. Our work focuses on the latter, specifically on lexical features. Previous research has shown that despite their fluency, machines tend to use a less diverse vocabulary compared to humans. So we explore hybrid approaches, combining transformers such as Roberta with these stylistic features to improve the detection. Now let's move on the data. For our experiments, we used the dataset from SEM-Eval 2024, Task A, Subtask A. As you can see in the chart, the training set is quite large, with over 119,000 texts sourced from Wikipedia, WikiHow, and other domains. Crucially, the test set includes a surprise domain called Outfox and also text generated by GPT-4. These were not seen during training. This is important because it forces our model to generalize rather than simply memorizing patterns. Regarding our methodology, we follow four main steps. First, we establish a reference point using a base model. Second, we developed an enriched model which concatenates an n number of lexical features. Third, we perform optimization tuning hyperparameters such as dropout, learning rate, and layer depth. Fourth, we conducted an ablation study. We tested 10 different lexical diversity metrics individually to identify which contributed the most information. To extract these features, we calculated 10 different metrics related to the lexical diversity. These range from the standard type token ratio to more robust measures such as the measure of lexical textual diversity or MTLD. In our base model, we used a pre-trained Roberta encoder. We take the final hidden state of the CLS token, which is a 768 dimensional vector representing the semantic coding of the text. And this vector is then fed directly into a multi-layer perceptron classification head to make the binary decision. Now, comparing that to the enriched model, we use the exact same Roberta backbone, but with a key difference. We concatenate the CLS vector with our lexical and feature vector. This combined tensor is then passed to the multilayer perceptor. This brings us to the most important part, the results. Please look at the accuracy on the test set. So if we look at the first bar, the standard base model achieved an accuracy of 80%. The second bar shows the enriched model using the MTLD feature. Notice how it jumped to 85%. This confirms that lexical features do help the standard model. However, look at the fifth bar. The optimized base model, it shows that by simply tuning the hyperparameters, we achieved an accuracy of 88%. Surprisingly, when we try to optimize the enriched model shown in the last bar, the performance actually dropped back to 80%. We wanted to understand exactly which features were driving these results, so we ran an ablation study. As shown in the figure, MTLD provided the highest accuracy boost. However, not all features are beneficial. At the bottom, you can notice that mass TTR actually degraded performance compared to the baseline. But why did we get these results? On the left, the box plot for MTLD shows a clear statistical separation. Human texts have a much higher median lexical diversity, around 120, compared to machine texts that have around 90. This provides a stronger signal for the classifier, and in contrast, on the right, mass TTR shows a high overlap between the distributions. These metrics fails to distinguish between the two classes, essentially acting as noise. We evaluated two strategies for improving machine-generated text detection, and it was shown that while a robust feature like MTLD can significantly improve a standard model, hyperparameter optimization proved to be a superior strategy. More importantly, we found an effect of information redundancy. Once the Roberto model is finally optimized, it implicitly captures the lexical information. Therefore, adding explicit metrics like MTLD to an optimized system becomes redundant and can even interfere with the model classification. For our future work, we aim to expand the hyperparameter search space and investigate other feature families such as repetitiveness, lack of purpose, or even readability to identify if they can offer complementary information where lexical diversity could not. Here is a list of the reference cited in this presentation. And thank you very much for your attention. We look forward to your questions and potential collaborations. You can reach us via the emails displayed on the screen. Thank you.